Hey guys, it's Sekaar, and today we've got another StamSorc build for the Firesong chapter. I really like this build. It was kind of easy to put together, but it's honestly really good. And I was kind of skeptical going into it because I just wanted to try something new. And honestly, I was very pleasantly surprised. And honestly, really early into me playing this, I was like, oh yeah, this is definitely going on my YouTube. I like this build a lot. So I hope that you guys enjoy too. If you do, like the video. If you're not subscribed to the channel, subscribe. It helps me a lot. We're almost at 3,500 subs, and I want to get there by the end of the year. So if you guys can help me with that, that would be absolutely massive. So guys, without further ado, let's just get on with the video. All right, guys, let's get started. First things first, we're going to look at our character sheet. We're definitely going to want to be an Imperial on our StamSorc. I like Imperial a lot as far as the reduced cost passive on all of your abilities. It really helps your sustain. We really don't build into sustain at all in this build, so this is more than enough, especially on StamSorc. I definitely think that this is the best move to go, personally. We're going to be putting 24 points into health and 40 points into stamina to break down our attributes. It's going to give us a nice 31.3k max health pool, 22.2k max stam pool, and a 16.5k max magic pool with 1166 stamina recovery unbuffed. And then also unbuffed, our weapon damage is at 4,000, but when you're in the middle of fighting, it gets to about 5.5 to about 6,000 mid-fight, which is definitely more than enough. And then just sitting here too, our pen is at 8.2, which I think is very nice for having that much weapon damage. And also our crit is also at 38.7, which is really nice as well. So I feel like that's a nice distribution of our damage, crit, and pen. Our Mundus is going to be the Shadow to increase our critical damage and healing as much as possible. And then our food is going to be Orzogos Smoked Bear Haunch to increase our max health by 4,300 and our stamina magic recovery by 369. This is the best way to get your max health up and your recovery up. If you can't afford this, because this food is very expensive, I definitely recommend using the Jewels of Misrule. It's basically the exact same thing. You just lose a little bit of health and a little bit of recovery, but honestly, it's really not worth it if you can't afford it. I recommend that one instead. That way, it is basically you're not just wasting 20 to 25,000 per food on PC when you use this. And then we're also going to be Vampire Stage 3 to reduce our damage taken at lower health. The Undeath passive is absolutely massive. I definitely recommend it. It has helped me in so many occasions. As far as our gear is broken down to, I feel like it's very simple the way we're doing this. I'll start with our mythic first. We're going to be using Markin. The reason why we're using Markin is because we're trying something different on this build. The one piece item of this gives you 100 weapon and spell damage and 1157 armor for every set that you're wearing at least 3 pieces or more of. So we're trying something different where we're using a 5-piece on the front, a 5-piece on the back, and then a 3-piece on the body to give us 3 lines of our mythic. So overall from this, we get 300 weapon and spell damage and 3471 armor, which I feel like is a lot. So let's get to our front bar set first. We're going to be using Maul of the Order's Wrath in the Sharpen trait with a weapon and spell damage enchantment on it. The reason why we're using Maul in the Sharpen trait is to increase our pen as much as possible. And what Order's Wrath does is just a bunch of crit. Crit chance, weapon and spell damage, crit chance, more crit chance, and then increases your critical damage and critical healing done by 8%, which I think is absolutely massive. I love being able to use this version over Gourmands. I really think that this is better overall to be able to customize your weight because it is craftable. I really personally enjoy it. It's one of my favorite sets in the game. And then our back bar set is going to be Rallying Cry, Ice Staff, and Defending. We're using this as our back bar, so this is going to give us more crit chance, max magic, crit chance, and while Battle Spirit is active, so while you are in a dungeon, when you're in Cyrodiil, a battleground, a duel, or an Imperial City, critically healing yourself or an ally is going to give you 300 weapon and spell damage and also 1650 critical resistance for 20 seconds. So personally, I think that's one of the best solo gear sets in the game. It is just honestly so much fun to build into, and it's just something different from past patches that I really like. Then our other set, which is going to be our 3-piece set on our body, is going to be Adept Rider. We're using that in our helmet in the Reinforced trait. The reason why we're using Adept Rider is because I really like the way the 3-piece breaks down, because you're only going to be able to get 2 lines of this, so you're going to get the armor and the armor. Other sets you can get like health and armor and stuff, but personally I just like to be able to build into tankiness because I feel like we have enough damage as it is. So we are using Adept Rider with a heavy reinforced helmet, Adept Rider medium divine shoulders, and also Adept Rider medium divine shoes as well. The rest of our gear that we're going to break down is going to be a heavy Order's Wrath chest piece in reinforced, heavy legs of Order's Wrath in reinforced as well, medium Order's Wrath hands in divines, and light Rallying Cry sash in divines as well. So just to break it all down, just so we can go over them one by one. Heavy helmet, Adept Rider. Medium shoulder, Adept Rider. Sorry, divines. Medium Order's Wrath divines. And honestly, I'm just going to stop going over it. You guys can read. If you guys need more, just pause it. Jeez, I got something, yeah. Anyways. And then the rest of our jewelry is going to be Rallying Cry in Bloodthirsty traits. Everything's going to be Bloodthirsty with weapon damage enchantments on it. The reason why we're using a Rallying Cry on our jewelry is that we get it's only in light armor, so we don't want those on our body pieces. So we got one, which is the smallest piece. And honestly, this is the best way to break it down. I like it. Bloodthirsty really helps your damage when enemies are at lower health. It's the best way to get the most damage when they're at lower health. So personally, I like Bloodthirsty a lot. And then our skills are going to break down like this. We are going to be D-swing gamers on this. It's actually hitting really hard. I think this is the hardest I've ever hit D-swing on a character on this build. So I really like it. This is going to be your main spam bull on this build. I like it a lot personally. I don't like D-swing, but here I actually think that it's really helpful. Camo Hunter, this is going to be your source of major savagery and prophecy, increasing your weapon and spell crit by 2600. Crystal Weapon, this is going to be what you're going to want to weave with your D-swing. That way you're getting the most amount of damage as possible. Activating this basically lets your next two light attacks do damage, like a lot more damage. So if you can do like light attack, D-swing, it is a lot of damage. Then also weaving in a Haunting Curse in there too, it gives you a ton of damage. And the burst potential for these three abilities is huge if you could line it up properly. And then Executioner is always to finish off our kills. You're only gonna want to use this when they're at lower health. That way you can actually secure those kills. Dawnbreaker of Smiting, the most unreliable ultimate in the game. I love it when it lands, but hate it when it misses. It also gives you the Fighter's Guild passive, where you get your weapon and spell damage increased just for having this slotted. I like it a lot, but honestly, when it misses, it's just a feels bad moment. Our back bar is going to be Crit Surge. It's going to be our source of major brutality and sorcery, increasing our weapon and spell damage by 20% for 33 seconds. And on top of that, while active, critically damage an enemy will give you 3,696 health back, and it can occur once every second. So, being this such a high crit build, it is really helpful to have that. It lets you just get a lot of heals while you're going offensive as well. That way you don't have to heal as much. It is really helpful. I like this ability a lot. Hurricane, this is going to be our source of Major Resolve and Minor Expedition, increasing our physical and spell resistance by 6k, and also our movement speed by 15% as well. And then on top of that, you're doing damage nearby, and this can crit a lot as well, so this is going to be a great way to proc your crit surge. I think that this is a great way to just keep up that sustained healing, that sustained pressure. I love it a lot. Resolving Vigor, this is going to be your main heal over time, and on top of that, you're also getting Minor Resolve, increasing your physical and spell resistance by 3k. And then Dark Deal, this is going to be kind of a burst heal if you know how to use it properly. It's not really a burst heal, it's kind of more of a way to keep sustained up, but it's kind of difficult to use sometimes. Mostly use this after you get CC'd, because you can be interrupted, then you can't use it for another few seconds. So try and get into the habit of once you break CC, use Dark Deal. It will be a free heal and a free source of stamina. And then finally, our last skill is Streak. This is going to be a way to engage and disengage in combat properly. This is a great way to make sure that you are taking the fight at your own pace. And on top of that, you can also stun anybody in the streak path, I guess. So that is a great way to kind of stun your enemies, but also just kind of control the fight. And I really like Summon Charge Atro on my back bar a lot. This is a great AoE pressure that you can put on enemies, and it's really good for your line of sight as well around in case you are open field and you're taking too much pressure. And this, honestly, it does so much damage and so much sustained damage that it is a really, really more reliable ultimate than Dawnbreaker. And honestly, I end up using this a lot. And then finally, our champion points. Our blue slottables are going to be Focus Mending, Fighting Finesse, Master at Arms, and Ironclad. Our red slottables are Pain's Refuge, Sustained by Suffering, Survival Instincts, and Celerity. And then finally, the only 3 green things that matter are Breakfall, Rationer, and Liquid Efficiency. Alright guys, that is the entire build. I really hope that you enjoyed. I honestly had a blast putting something different together. I thought it was a lot of fun. If you guys want to see builds like this more often, let me know in the comments. I kind of like just trying new things and different things. I was very surprised on how well it actually worked. I wasn't expecting much going into it, but I was very, very surprised. And not even 10 minutes into using this, I was like, oh yeah, this video is definitely going on YouTube. I like this build a lot. So guys, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please do so. It helps me a lot. I could just ramble all day. It really means a lot that you made it this far to the end of the video. I'm going to stop rambling. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will see you guys on the next video. Later.